Let's go. Okay. So this is a piece I did. We're trying to get to this fancy dancy thing. So we're doing the edging on this, like, so it's a wrapped edge all around. We're going from that to that. So it's the piece I got done. That's the piece I'm going to do. So in the first step, first process of doing this is getting your needle on thread onto the piece, which I'm using Nymo B. You can see there, and size 13 Charlotte cut beads, which is done with all of this. There's no 15s in this because there's no bright colors. Anyways, so I start from the back. I pulled a little flap down for the bead to go through, or the needle to go through. Pull it through, flap, close it up, hide the knot in there, and run it back through. So I don't run it exactly through the center, like shown here. So the knots between there, run through and run through the back buckskin in front, and pull. I do have this already done. As you can see, it was already done a year before, back in December of 2020. Now it's September of 2020. So the 6 beads fell in here exactly perfect, so I'll be grabbing the 6 beads to go around. It's kind of a trial and error for you and the beads you're using. Sometimes it may take 4, sometimes it may take 6, 8. It all depends on the exposed edge you have here. So if you want a nice thicker fuller edge like this, go with a thicker, with 11s, go with a thicker border, and put your beads around it. So here, so see, I tighten it down like this. I normally push my beads over and across and back through and tighten, just so then I get the full seat of it. So it's sitting all the way back on the beginning of the thread. So let me show you on this one how I start my beading process. So I start here. I don't start next to it here. I don't do that. I actually start over a bit here, almost like half a bead over roughly, and I go at an angle and down. So you can see I push through. It's about a bead over to 3/4 over from where I started, and about half a bead. And like I said, I do work my way slightly downwards at an angle and over an angle. So that's be your constant motion as you're doing this type of edging. So there, I push it, make sure it's seated all the way down this way, and pull. So then, there's a nice, good spot to go around. So with this edging, I am following a pattern, which is already set for me, which is here, this color pattern of the fire colors, sunset colors, what have you. And like I said, I'm working down and out at an angle. So I'm going to pull it through so you can see. Once again, downward, outward. So you can see from the back where it's at, roughly a bead over from where I last did it, and going half bead over and across. So this one here, once you pull it tight, sometimes I want to do that where it's not going to sit all the way and your beads will be funny. That's why I kind of push over to help it, and then pull it tight, just so then it grabs and squeezes around. And where you pull it through, it does do that. Sorry for not being in focus, but I'm at the wrong angle. I'm over here instead of being over here. But anyways, that's how I do it. So we do a few more, just to kind of give you the idea of. Okay, hold on. Let me show you if you get too close of what happens and how to problem solve for that. So here, I'm too close. You can see the bead is offset and it's not really working out. The top's all wonky, and I'm close to it there too. So with that, all you want to do is take it apart. So pull it, make sure you're keeping your needle at least straight and your thread straight. So here I put it through, I make sure it's touching, and I hold the needle straight because it wants to wander around. So you pull it here, make sure needle straight, pull it back, put your thread between your fingers down here, and put your two fingers, pinch your and pointer finger together and push ever so slightly. Ooh, that was not really working. There we go. You'll make sure it's straight. So you heard it. Pop through. You try it again. So here you want to get it there. Make sure your fingers are set to where you want it. Pull it back out and then pull back. Just so then it's even all the way through. There's less stress on the needle coming through because you don't want to go through sideways where it's like that. Because if it is, it'll mess up your thread and want to pop it out. And it won't work right. But anyways, move over a bit and push it through. So just like that. It's done. Okay, next problem you guys might have is, let's say you're doing this and your thread becomes short. And you want to put on a new thread. So we'll deal with that now. What I do is I just pull this down, wrap it down like that, and go through. So I'm going roughly between the middle of the pellin, and I go back, and I just kind of sew it back and forth here, not going through the backing. So I'll sew it there. I don't want to go all to the bottom because that's where I'll be sewing. Doing my edging, I do want to keep it in the middle here because I'm not trying to make my life difficult. So I'll go through a few times like so. Kind of doing like a back stitch on the edging here. I don't like dealing with knots, so this is what I do. So I'll go forward 3, 4, 5 stitches, and now I'll go back in the same area of those stitches so that the tension does hold it in place. Then close it up, and then I'll cut the edge off like that. And then when I start it again, I just loop this around 1, 2, 3, and pull tight, pull a knot, and cut the excess off. And it's just basically the same thing like before, where you start from the back, roughly about a 1/4 inch ahead of where you are, come through, close it up. This does get funky here, but close it up. Then here you want to push your needle through where you just last went through underneath the beadwork you just did, and push through, just so then you had that same alignment as you did before, and pull through. And then you want to get your next row, 6 or however many you're using for your edge, and start over again. And then you keep going with it until you get to a state like that, where you're far enough forward and you're almost done to the edge. Just follow your pattern all around. I mean, know your points of where you're starting. So I know those parts are centered. You can go around and around and have them set that way. So here, as before, doing the white, gold, and this and that. Let's say you're going along and you're having issues of it. You have that fearfulness of it closing or the ends buttoned up right exactly at the end. I do have that fear of a piece not lining up at the end, and it might be off. But with this, you can actually kind of play with your edging. So you can, like before, you can mess with the spacing, make it wider, tighter, depending on how much you need and when you need it. Oops, it's going a little too fast there. So it just made a little twist on itself. So you don't want to go too fast. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 6. I stab myself doing this quite a few times, but I don't bleed profusely, so I'm not too worried about. Sorry for that noise if you guys heard that. Football. So do. So here I am kind of spacing it a lot more, kind of giving it a little more leeway, pushing things around, make sure it's ever so perfect. Perfect in my eyes, I should say. Everybody has their own perception of perfect. So as you notice, I'm kind of fidgeting with the piece and kind of pushing, pulling here and there, because the main part I slow down on is actually having the piece set. And when it's over, I do push it over and pull it back and pull it tight and push down it, just so it stays round. Sometimes it does go square and it does leave all these like little lines in it. So here you can see the line, but that's just part of how it is. But you can then bounce it on it and push it down. If it's too big of a gap, you can actually push on it with a piece like this and kind of mess with the foam on the inside or the pellet. So keeping things a little more uniform. Just like that. Now move to the orange. I don't know if I'm fast at this or slow at this. Red. So I'm just kind of blending the color, going back and forth. Make sure the gradient does work out for me. So you can see the color doesn't match up here and here. So that's kind of what I'm going off is all these different points. So if I'm right there, then I'm right there. So it looks like the spacing is correct for me to line up exactly. Which is a weird way to kind of check spacing, but it does help. But at the same time, you gotta know the width by just looking at it like, okay, about 4 rows of beetle fin there, 3 rows of fin there, 2 rows of fin there. Then you'll know if you need to make your beadwork a little bit tighter, your edging a little tighter, or a little further away. Or if you have a seamstress tape, or one of those flexible tapes, fabric tape, then you use measure around, measure the space, so that you can get a little more accurate, I guess, prediction of how much room you have of going around. So you can see here, everything looks right, but it's kind of a point where I'm kind of nervous because I do have a few more rows to go. Not sure exactly how much more I have left, but I do want to show you guys how I finish this piece. So here I'm done with the red, now I'm going to the black. Then maroon, then black, then gold, then black. Doing this on camera does make me nervous because I could be wrong and it could be devastating. But at the same time, it could be right. So 3 rows left in that space, so that's plenty of space for 3 rows of beads. So no sweat. So if it was here, I would actually go here, enough space if I needed to add more room. So I need to do 4, then I'll go like really tight next to it. Or if I'm only doing 3, I need 2 more spaces, then we'll go there. But like I said, you can go back before and kind of space it out a little more, take it apart and go back at least 2 rows, 3 rows, and add space needed. Or I can go back 3 rows, like I said, and tighten it up so you can have beads fit in there a little better. So here, like I said, I'm gonna go a little tight against it. So it's the only time that I go tight against it is the final piece, the final couple of rows. So I am going tight so I give a little more room so it pushes over. And then this one I can go right in the center of the piece so I can fit it exactly in. Just like so. And just like that, it's satisfying to have it all fit together perfectly. I'm glad that worked out. But anyways, how I finish this is I wrap the bead between, or the thread between the bead work itself, going between the colors, and going at the angle again. So I kind of have the tension of the piece, hold it in place. Running between the beadwork, the rows, and going through. So I'll do this about 3-4 times, and pull it tight afterwards, and just wrapping it around, going between the beadwork, making sure I come out between the beads and back. That's the main part, and coming back through. And once I go through where I feel like it's nice and tight, I will actually do it like a really extreme angle from this part and push through. So you see it's pushing at an angle, back up that way, and pulling. So now I'll pull it tight here, as tight as I can. Get my X-Acto knife, run it with flush the beads, and just kind of wiggle back and forth lightly. And I'll just snip it off like so. And I get the 2 pieces together that are done. And now I'm gonna find my, this is my desk, it was a mess, so I'm gonna cheat. I don't, over here. I wasn't take that apart, but adding your fingernail post to the end, poke it in one side, squeeze, and bring up, and done. So perfectly done piece. Done. Dun, 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 dun. That's one set done. I still have another set to go. So that's concludes the end of the series. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I did. Though it was stressful. Hopefully I can do this again. You can leave in the comments what you guys want to be shown next. And I'll try to get that through. But thank you guys for watching, and until next time, bye.